Now, do we have any article conflict for this? On the board of trustees and central cell.
That's great.
I'm chair of the chairman of the board of the government group, and they don't know what's conflict of interest.
We don't have any additional items, so we had our minutes from the 12th of November 2025. The recommendation is that we confirm those. Someone happy to move. Councillor Somerville, seconded by Councillor Dodson. Any discussion on the minutes at all? The owner is happy. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. And anyone against? That is carried. We'll talk about the participation, which takes us to our reports. So the first one is the Sport New Zealand Travel Fund allocation. So it's on page 7 of the agenda. And
right, so Sport New Zealand one. So the applications are all based on today's federal. So you'll see the more in order and just get the way we're on to put them. Put the amounts fairly to and just let us another this round.
There does seem to be a lot of applications from Fiordland this round. They might have all been talking to each other.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a coincidence because we're here.
Yeah. I mean, they do obviously have a long way to travel often. So, yeah.
That through you, Your Worship, the actual sport element of what goes on at the college has got to the point now where they actually have a separate prize giving just to sports. And they split it out from their main prize giving. So they have students that are involved in way broader range of sports than this. So I think it's representative of what happened last time. I think they'll have this funding as well. But we know prize to see them.
Yeah, it will be quite a substantial amount. It's focusing.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say that I was somewhat surprised that netball travels 51,000 kilometres in that season, which is what, about 10 weeks.
Yeah,
or
they're not going to have a lot of changes. So it's not just one band.
because they used to come down in bands, I presume they still do. So it's and that's to Central Southland, or they're going to other schools as well.
They go all over the
Yeah,
Seem to be.
yeah. It's an
Which is
astonishing amount of kilometres, which just illustrates the area we cover.
Yeah, and we also have students that, you know, if they get through a certain set of tournaments, then they're going to go into regional competitions. So they might end up in Dunedin. My grandson was in Timaru yesterday playing tennis. So it isn't just restricted to even travel within our own district. They do go to Dunedin with the bigger competitions.
Useful, fantastic.
Just one question, and that was really, I noticed that as you alluded to netball Fiordland, double the Ks of the others, and I wonder, do you consider the number of participants as well in the allocation?
Not really, it's really just based on the Ks. I think it's much of the distributed, but the easiest way to do it.
They're only a 200 premium on the.
Yeah.
Double the case of the
Yes.
other. That was, I just wanted some other factors in there that hadn't seen.
Councillor Campbell?
I would support that, actually getting in that element of how many people you're actually supporting, and we're getting the big numbers that you're travelling, and so presumably it's spread over a lot of people, but it might give a little bit more of a better spread, or you know, like you say, it's only $200 difference. That might tell us that there's more reason why we need to give them more for that, you know, like getting that amongst the other criteria that you have.
Yeah.
No further questions? So we've got our recommendations there that we're noting the information contained in the report. We're receiving the applications from Netball, Fiordland Hockey Club, Winton Swimming Club, Te Anau Cricket Club, Menzies College, Fiordland Swimming Club and Te Anau Tennis Club. For the amounts listed in there, which I won't go through, we will read them hopefully. Someone in a position to move, Councillor Grady, seconded by Councillor Spraggan. Any further discussion on that at all? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Anyone against? That is carried. So next up, we have our district initiative fund allocation for the September 2025 fund rounds. This is on page 15 of your agenda. Have to speak to this one as well.
So yeah, I'll take the report as read, but I'll just go through each one and just make my comments and then you can discuss. So we've received 11 applications this round. We've got 64,497 to distribute. That's over 2 rounds. And we've got just over 100,000 requests. So the first application on Loss and Grief Support Trust. So this is a regular applicant for the operation costs. So we did last time a year ago. We did give them $10,000. To our trust for the boardwalk in Longwoods Forest. That's a new applicant that we can send through. And same with the research and rescue would be the costs for training and equipment. The Waikato Trails Trust, so this is for the next stage of development for mountain bike tracks. So we did support them in September 22, 10,000 for that initial stage. Citizens advice, operational costs. So what they're specifically asking for is just costs to use the office building and data, the volunteers. And we last would have been March 2024, 5,000. And just, I know so it often comes up with these kind of organisations is how much the district support gets compared to Invercargill. And so I did kind of ask them if they could give me a rough idea. They didn't have exact numbers, but they thought maybe it was 1/3 to 2/3 SDC, ICC, or 1/4 to 3/4. So again, two times that numbers. Now, Cancer Society for their Christmas hampers. So last year we did give them a little bit of money,
500.
but we did say to them this is likely to be a one-off cost, and that was said to them at the time. So I have said to her again this time, if we reiterated that. So that's sort of like but zero to discuss. So perfectly happy to not give them anything more. We've been generous. Yeah, so they're well aware that that might be a zero. Parent to parent, so the outreach program, we've seen these guys a few times before. Last time we gave them money was September 2023. North Southland Community Resources Trust, so we usually support these guys with their community programs, and they don't ask for a lot. It's usually sort of $1,500 to $2,000. I know they are struggling a bit at the moment with the operation costs, so that's why they've come to us with that. There's the multi-purpose at college. So the college is acting as sort of like a organisation to use the thing. They've donated, the board donated 1,000 towards the project. It is a community-driven project, that one. The Plunkett Trust, We have given these guys money before for the injury prevention programs and car seats. In March 2024, we gave them $4,000. And the education trust, the last year supported these guys was last year. For the mobile classroom. So I did put recommendations there, but it's really open to discuss and ask questions.
Yeah, thanks, Kath. And I know last time we had quite a good discussion about actually looking at how we actually will handle these funds going forwards. And it kind of stood out to me this time reading through that we really do need to have a good look at this going forwards. And even thinking back to like the title District Initiative Fund, and some of these are kind of the repeat of operational and sort of different kind of things that might not be classed as an initiative for the district. And like without picking on one of them, but like the Plunkett one, for example, the amount of reserves that they've got, the interest on those alone would cover the cost of what they're actually asking us for, and what the role of the ratepayers in these kind of applications actually are. So
Cancer Society as well has
yeah.
a massive surplus.
Increase of 600,000 on the investment.
So I think yeah, for me personally, I think we need to treat this for what it actually is. It's a sum of ratepayer money that we are handing out, but look at even though we haven't made the changes or suggested the changes, which will be coming up soon to how this is all administered, I'd still like to, even in today, have a look at each one on those sort of merits of whether it's the intended purpose of the fund and potentially what the future thing might be, and how that, because there's nothing wrong with us leaving money in the pool as well if we deem that we don't handle all that. But are there any other questions for Kath before we start going through?
Just a comment here, when you look at the fund criteria on the website, it says the aim of the fund is to support facilities, amenities, programs, activities, and events and organizations at district level. Perhaps we need to tighten that what exactly are we looking for? Because this is advertised so frequently, people are taking this as, I think they probably put it into the budgets that fund is, this money is going to be coming from here. And the fund has remained at 65,000 for how long, please?
So when it started in 2020, so before that we had the Community Initiatives Fund, which was a little bit more, it was about 100,000, maybe over 2 rounds. But then we split that off into the Community Partnership Fund, which each board gets their own pot, and then the district initiatives.
So the net amount has remained the same, just split differently?
Depending on the recent reserves, I think initially that pumped it up a wee bit. But it's usually around 65 to 70 a year.
And this is something we have decided, we are not bound to be doing this exercise, are we?
No, that's something, and from our, I think it was the May one last year, we actually talked about having and tying it into, I talked to Sam yesterday about the kind of the time frame of when we look at this, and it's like it needs to be at the long-term plan time or before. So it's going to be in the short-term future that we actually have a look at the bigger picture, because there's also what we found with the last long-term plan, those sort of bigger entities coming through, the cycling trails trusts and all those sorts of pieces coming through. So I think we need to look at the bigger picture. And also we've got things like rates capping on the horizon, and our core business being defined, and where that all kind of fits in. So I think there's a wider discussion beyond today, but we've got people that have applied under a process that's kind of in place. So we need to kind of look at it with those two lenses. Councillor Byers.
Oh, thanks. Mr. Mayor, you've touched on the operational funding, the operational cost for these, for certain organisations, and I thought in the past we weren't going to do that because there's a risk that we're propping up something that perhaps doesn't need to be there. And I think you're sort of alluding to the other idea that I was wondering about is it the most efficient way to be distributing funds? I mean, it's taken a long time to go through processing the stuff. It's 60,000, but you need the cost to distribute 60,000.
No, it's a good question, and that's the kind of stuff that I think we need to look at when we revisit what's going forwards. And also, just to comment on the operational piece, like I know a lot of these organisations, look, it's either they're selling sausages on the side of the road, trying to keep. Look, I don't have an issue with the operational side if they're fulfilling a role in the community, and that north and south and Resource Centre Charitable Trust. I know they do a heck of a lot of good work on the smell of an oily rag, but then the other side of that is this the government's responsibility to be funding these community workers and everything, and by us supporting them, are we relieving them of the duties to kind of do it as well? So it becomes a bit of a, yeah.
Or they go directly to the ratepayers with their funding grants, rather than coming through here and creating inspection, friction, expensive friction.
Yeah.
In the process.
So those are the kinds of things that I think we need to feed into the process. But for today's purpose, we've got
When's that going to happen?
Before the next long-term plan. Did you have a more?
Yeah, we're sort of saying today, and we're thinking it's early next year, so workshop only like maybe mid-February, and then coming back to council March, April.
Cool.
To finalise it, something like that.
So we can have it sort of finalised before the next round. So you guys
Well, sort of thinking
before the next September round.
The next September round, yeah.
Oh, so we've got a number of them in front of us. The Cass already kind of gone through. So I might just step through each of them quickly individually, and we can go through. So the first one, the Loss and Grief Support Trust in Southland. So requesting 10K, the recommendation from staff is 9. I noted that ICC were funding 5, and I wondered whether we should match what ICC's funding in there. Was there a reason why you thought that 9?
It's really sort of going on what we've given them in the past,
Yeah.
just sort of trying to keep it consistent.
Yeah, Councillor Menzies and Councillor Brown.
So noted that as well, and I think last time round they identified they've got 75 clients out in this area, and I don't think they answered that question.
Yeah, no, it's actually jumped up quite a lot. It went up to about the application, but yeah.
I didn't see it on the application, that's my looking, sorry.
Yeah, no, it went up to like in the hundreds. They've had a massive jump, and they need out and quite a lot of infrastructure.
Yes, with some of those clients, judging by the reference coming into Invercargill as well, so not necessarily travelling out to see them. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Brady.
Yes, through you, Your Worship. I noted the same thing and I've got written here, 40% of members are in Southland. So when you look at what ICC is contributing compared to what we're suggesting in terms of percentage for people that they're dealing with, it's actually less for Southland than it is for the rest of less for Southland than it is for Invercargill.
Were there any other councillor kicks?
Excuse me, thank you. Just to put another spin on this, I said that this is a great initiative and they are coming out more into the, presenting themselves into the district, and it's a huge step and or opportunity for people to step into what they might need and not realise. And so, yeah, I'm not a great fan of following what Invercargill does, so Invercargill City does, so I'm up for 9.
Like definitely a great service, the merit of it, but because part of it is that kind of user pays piece as well, and how much we should be sort of subsidising it, I guess, as well.
Well, it is, and I suppose at this point in time, I would sooner that we may, that we do our review and engage with them on how we might best support them, because I know, and probably the rest of you that are involved in organisations similar to this, finding operational expenditure is really expensive. It's something that people, like, I suppose it's what we're talking about here, an initiative, and so operational expenses don't get covered by a lot of other organisations or funding opportunities.
That's a great.
Yeah, the additional thing I wanted to point out, just as we're going through all these, is that through Connected Mirahiku, they secured licenses under strategic grants for their job portal. So I think we ended up buying 100 logins. And I'd definitely be encouraging all these people and any others to actually approach Connected Mirahiku to see if they can get that gem portal login, because what people have discovered is that there are actually more funding opportunities than just the typical ones that everybody seems to go to. So it actually might help some of these people to actually find funds, that aren't just necessarily relying on the same entities every time.
Is that something that you can feed back to them?
Yeah, and we've got a login as well with. So we can access that to. Information.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether she
Yeah,
push
those
it.
are really obscure ones that you just
That's right.
That's that. Have knowledge of certain specific things.
Just wondering if we should push one of them.
Councillor Minty?
I just think there's probably important for some messaging going out ahead of our review, particularly for these organisations. It's not a one-off kind of initiative thing, that the reliance on operational funding being supported by this method may no longer be able to continue in the same way in the future. So because these organisations generally do run on the smell of an oily rag, and it's going to be very difficult for them to make those changes. But at the same time, you see the increase in applications, and as a result of the government pulling back on supporting the organisations, and we're getting clear messages from the government, including the indication they're going to remove the well-beings from our responsibilities, and a potential rates capping, that it will look different in the future, despite the work that they are doing in the community. There is some discussion that needs to happen ahead, I think.
So we've got sort of two options here. We could do Councillor Keith's recommending the full 9, and a couple of us were suggesting a little bit less, but is a general consensus to just stick with the staff recommendation, or do we want to can I have a show of hands for sticking with the staff recommendation?
Done previously and through them all.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, we can come back to the amounts. Yeah, good idea, Councillor.
I just had an additional question. Completed their accountability, made a note.
Yeah, so I'll follow Councillor Granny's suggestion. The Aotearoa Trust. This is for 1,000 metres of timber boardwalk in the Longwoods Forest. Anyone got any concerns, questions about that one? Pretty straightforward. Fiordland Marine Search and Rescue. I imagine this one's a pretty straightforward one as well.
Sorry, can I just jump back?
Yeah, sure.
They were old financials. There was no financials to 2025.
For the Te Aotearoa.
Maybe it would probably be the latest. They early on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they probably haven't been finalised then for
Yeah.
2025.
You're right, Councillor. Julie?
Through you, may I ask a question about the Fiordland? What sort of area search you?
Search and rescue.
What area does it cover?
They said the
The
whole region.
lakes and right down through the Sounds and beyond Stewart Island. It's actually the only one that actually involves Stewart Island.
So it sounds like they use the helicopter to get somewhere in a hurry if they need to.
Yeah.
Waikato Trails Trust. Questions, concerns over that one? Citizens Advice Bureau.
Again, just the comment that
Yeah.
there's no ICC contribution.
I actually think the boys.
But then it may be that they go to ICC for a different portion of their operational. This is just and those costs.
And I suspect the Cancer Society will be no based on last time round in the so it's maybe like parent Southland. Councillor Keys?
They say 95 people that they're covering with that. Do you know that's 95 families or 95 individuals?
By families, yeah. One person, so some stuff that they put in the application. Now they're doing a lot of doing that here. Support groups and things like that.
Weasel Centre Charitable Trust.
Just a question on this one.
Yeah.
What's the area they cover?
So it's Dipton, Ethel, Garston, Lumsden, Mosman, Balfour. So quite a It's not a wide, yeah.
So, yeah, because, excuse me, this one is an anomaly because Waihopai Toi Toi it would cover, you know, like it's within a ward area, but they get the opportunity to apply because of the smaller community boards. And I struggle
Yeah,
with this
which is
one.
kind of part of that
Yeah,
next piece
yeah.
of looking at how that criteria actually.
And yeah, so do they go to the queue? My brain was a bit slow. Go to both the community boards to apply for funding as well.
They do occasionally go to the local Northern Community Partnership Fund things. They only got about $6,000 in that pot. So they occasionally go to them, but yeah, project funding as well.
And they would be eligible for the Northern Southland Development Fund.
Oh, yes, as well, yeah.
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 And the multi-purpose artificial turf in the central Southland. Oh, sorry, Brian.
Three worship. I don't want to sound like a negative person, but it's one that came up quick. And the placement of it concerns me a bit, being at the college for there's a wee bit of history in the past with the swimming pool, whatever. I don't just the concept is fine for an all-weather turf and what they're using it for, but just the placement probably is not the thing for me. And it's the existing courts were shot, so the education board would have had some replacement to do what in the future, but they've obviously got the funding and their contribution is not going to stop it, whatever. But it's just probably moved a bit quick for me, and maybe a bit more thought went into it. And I don't want to sound like I'm being not positive about the whole thing. So
Yeah, this part came up from some of the community board funding, just some of the facilities like pools and turfs, tennis courts and things that are on administrative land being got with the land. There's a little bit on topic, but it'd be good to understand what that active Southland regional audit of facilities came back with, because I mean, it sounds great. I'm sure the community would benefit from it, but if there's also then another turf in town also kind of getting renewed, and there's just doubling up on too many hubs delivering the same thing and just tying in with Ministry of Education of understanding what the public recreational value of facilities are, so we're not double providing to the community.
Yes.
So that if that comes out of the review, it's like the funding around sports things, we finally understand what infrastructure we actually have and need. I thought Active Southland had done a big audit on that, but we haven't really much update on it.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. No, I guess that one of the values of having it coming to this kind of forum is we've got that higher up kind of overview of everything and can provide that feedback. Probably not through a funding application for that, but it does feed into the process. The Royal New Zealand Blanket Trust. This is the one that I kind of referred to at the start, where I thought there. Yeah. Sorry, George.
On the application, I hope I told you he had an asterisk beside it, and I didn't see what the asterisk meant for the funding. So I know the Tonga Blanket had quite a lot of money and got it. In the amalgamation, it all went in, and they had to start applying for it themselves. So that,
they've pulled out a lot of the communities selling the buildings and don't seem to be having much of a representation in there. I struggle with this one.
Same.
A little bit.
They do supply for hire car seats.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's a bit like the Scouts. There's plenty of money in the parent body, but the local groups are all struggling.
Yeah, so they hire those out, but do they also provide them to people that can't afford them free?
Yes.
So this is what this is about.
I have an underlying difficulty with the car seats in general, that they're only got a lifespan of a very short time. And I've never been in an accident, but what is it, 5 years before they have to be thrown out? And so this is always an ongoing cost because they have to dispose of them, but they've never been in an accident
nothing's changed to my mind from, you know, when they've gone on the first day. There may be evidence to suggest differently, but I haven't heard that. So it's an ongoing cost to families as well. Supposedly families that throw them out, so can't use it for the next child because they're usually in them for 9 months to 6 years. So it's a far bigger problem here for me. And again, a difficulty if we weren't supporting them locally out of ratepayers' funds, then perhaps the national organisation would think differently about how they support the local bodies. So in fact, we are supporting the national organisations to keep doing what they're doing. And so for that reason, I think I'm probably against it. Yeah.
Cool. And then last but not least, Harold the giraffe. Councillor.
Yeah, having just left this industry, I can tell you that the value of this sort of work in schools and the community can't be measured on a spreadsheet. This is really longitudinal stuff. The work that places like Harold the Giraffe and the Mighty program and what was formerly KiwiCan, that's the stuff that's you see that at secondary school and in employers in 20 years' time. And there is a very, very small pot that they can get access to. And given the changes and that schools are having to go through at the moment, this is something that, if this is being provided, it's something that schools can, put a bit of faith in that's getting delivered.
Yeah, I engaged with my 10-year-old consultant and she was a big fan of them. Just recently gone through it. I'll get the bill next week.
If I could just add to that, and I see that list of volunteers have been, many of them doing it for years and years. Quite a number of them are older than me, and they work so hard to make sure that continues.
Right.
Certainly,
The same comment applies. So again, we as ratepayers are providing this educational kind of role. That's not agree totally with what they're doing and support that in every way. But we're doing that more and more when you see what they're doing. But support that.
I think part of the bigger picture when we're looking at the mandates coming from government as to what our core services and what our role is, this is the kind of stuff we need to feed back to government with and say, if not us, then who? Because we're topping up a lot of these things because they do have big value in the community and they are providing a very useful service. And the government needs to actually recognise that it's our ratepayers that are topping this up.
And some of those organisations like Life Education and Loss and Grief and some we've been supporting them forever and a day.
Yes.
Before this, we did give them a little bit of money out of long-term care funding. Supporting them for a long time.
Also, sorry, Kat.
Sorry, I was just going to add, when you look at some of that post-COVID funding, which like Te Toka, which is actually doing or was doing something very similar to what the Northern South and Central Community Trust are doing. And they weren't able to keep continuing. And then it becomes, how do you actually pick and choose? Who survives and who doesn't? Because it should be coming from government.
And they took that funding away from those services when COVID had to set up their own one, and the funding didn't go back. So, in the interest of time, I'm just looking at the ones. So I'm going to go through the ones that I think everyone is in total agreement, so I'll just run through them quite quickly and then shout out if you disagree. So, Fiordland Trust 3,000, Fiordland Marine Search and Rescue 3,000.
On that one, if there is surplus, I'd be interested in
maybe up in
that marine search and rescue. If there's something like
Wakai Trails Trust 4,000, Citizens Advice Bureau 5,000, Parent to Parent Southland 4,000, Northern Southland Community Centre Resource Charitable Trust 4,000. Multi-purpose turf 3,000. Noting Councillor Somerville's. Plunkett I am assuming that one was a zero.
Zero.
And the Life Education Trust of 4,000. So the one that we have, sorry,
I'd quite like to see the life education one go up to the amount
cool.
requested.
So the one that we haven't talked about is the Loss and Grief Support Trust, which we started on. So the recommendation of 9,000. I'd suggested it start 5,000, and Councillor Kester said 9,000. So what's the thoughts? If we have a show of hands for the 9,000, then we can go back from there. For case, a show of hands for 5,000. Or anything different?
Middle.
Middle.
In the middle.
The middle,
Yeah.
yeah.
Seven.
Lowering it slowly,
Yeah.
yeah.
7.5.
Seven.
Yep.
Be comfortable with that, Councillor Keys? Right, so 7.5 for that. So we've got Field and Marine Search and Rescue and the Life Education Trust that we've had proposals to go up a little bit. So do we want to, we've got $1,500 spare out of that one. Do we want to attribute that to any of those other?
Search and rescue.
Yeah, well, I don't know that we really, sorry,
That's right.
we have really got it spare. It's just taking it out of the next one.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's,
So,
yeah. So it's
yeah.
whether I guess we see value in increasing what they've asked for, assuming, I mean, they may have the full funding with that mix as well. Look, is it?
Well, sorry, the Fiordland people, they haven't approached any other funders yet, so they do have opportunity to go to other funders.
Sorry, can I just jump in there? What I would say is that there was a corporate dinner through Rotary here.
Yeah.
And the funds from the corporate dinner, not here, that was in the hotel. Funds from the corporate dinner have gone to replace things like all their strops and that kind of equipment as well. So they're very, very actively fundraising in our area.
Is
We've
that
got
for
about 10
Landsar
grand
in
out of
general, or is that for the Landsar in general based up here, or for the specialist unit?
It's for these guys plus their equipment.
Yeah. Because they got a very active Landsar here as well, and an Alpine Landsar
Yeah.
here.
I think we've accepted there's going to be another round.
This
So
is
I'd
the
prefer to see it go into the next round, given we've got an excess of applications, well, 100,064 available.
So keep it at the 3. Collectively nodding in the table. So does that same apply to Harold? Or I should actually call it what it is, South and Life Education Trust.
Let's soon have been around what the requested. Relative to, so
The others.
So keep that at 4.
Yes, if we can.
And then Councillor Keast had the suggestion on the North South Community Regional Centre Charitable Trust to decrease that one.
Well, if you look at the difference between Harold's costs and, call it that, I suppose, but, and the percentage, giving them 4 and the life education 4, I think you're reaching more people.
Yeah, I did have a look at the financials and there was quite a drop in their funding from the previous year to this one. And I think that, yeah, they're going to kind of need every little bit that they can get at the moment while they get their I know they've had a bit of change in the trustees as well. But I can certainly vouch for the work that they do.
They're dipping into their savings.
Yeah.
Although they did note that the new trustees would hopefully help with funding. My question there was how likely lotteries were to fund them again. Because I think they've missed out.
Yeah, it's hard to answer on
Hard to
behalf of
answer,
them.
isn't it?
What's the general
This is a
feeling
moving feast.
for that one? Keep it at 4.
Leave them as they are.
Leave it as they are. Cool. So
37.5 total.
37.5 total.
So did we agree to increase fuel and marine?
No, leave that in
Yeah.
the notes. So has someone written down, look at that Cameron's done a fantastic job next to me.
That one's changed to 7.5.
So loss and grief 7.5, everything else was the same.
Everything else.
And
Zero.
Plunkett was 0 and the cancer was 0. So our recommendations there are that we received the applications from the 11 funders and I've just spoken to those amounts. If someone could move. Councillor Spraggan, do we have a seconder? Councillor Dobson, any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Anyone against? That's carried. Thanks, Steph. Yeah, those are never easy to do, these things, they're a real challenge. Okay. Our next item on the agenda is a public excluded item, and we have the reasons outlined on our agenda there for the Southland Regional Heritage Committee and the Te Anau Manapori RFP process and rationale for the airport. So for the reasons outlined in the agenda from the chair, I'm happy to move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Graney? Councillor Byers?
Discussion?
Yep.
I'm just wondering why the report for the airport's going to be released.
So that,
I'm just wondering, just make a clarification on why the airport decision is.
Yeah.
Publicly excluded.
just because it's discussing a procurement process, so it will be released when it can be, but because it's a procurement piece, can you answer that probably more articulately than me?
Thank you. Just the commercial sensitivity in terms of giving council the opportunity to consider the proposal before it gets released. Obviously, if it moves forward, then it's a very public process.
That as part of that process, you're going to be looking for some publicity around it. Making sure
Yeah,
that
indeed.
understand actually why it's public excluded.
For the, I guess, the fairness of the process for people that are going to be, if you're procuring, you want to have the closed door discussion about how you're going to do the procuring and then go out and do the public part after that, just so to protect the process itself. So it's been moved, it's been seconded. Yeah. Are there any further discussion? So I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Anyone against? Councillor Byers? That is carried. Yes. And I'll just wait for our live stream to go up and see if the birdies are